The family of Johannes lived in a small coastal town in South Africa, and Johannes's father made a promise to him that on the occasion of his 14th birthday, he would take him fishing. In this video, we will talk about the shark attack on a 14-year-old boy. The family of Johannes spent several weeks making preparations for a fishing trip off the coast. Johannes couldn't wait to spend the day fishing alongside his father and his younger brother, Adrius, in the hopes of reeling in some impressive game fish. In general, the two anglers would focus their efforts on fishing in areas of the water that were shallower and catching fish of a smaller size. Johannes woke up on the morning of his 14th birthday to the sound of his father's voice calling out to him. "Johannes!" the older man yelled. He couldn't contain his excitement about spending the day fishing with his father and younger brother. So the three of them loaded up their small boat with fishing gear and headed out onto the water. The day that Johannes turned a year older was one to remember. They had been fishing for several hours and had caught a variety of fish, including yellowfin tuna and dorado, among other species. The weather was perfect, with clear blue skies and a gentle breeze blowing. The water was calm, and the sun was just beginning to rise over the horizon. They enjoyed each other's company while taking in the splendor of the sea and the bounty of their fishing trip during the tranquil morning they spent together. The fact that Johannes was able to spend his birthday with the two people who meant the most to him was a source of gratitude for him. Tewodros made an effort to steer the boat away from the shark, but it was already too late by the time anyone could react. The shark had already grabbed Johannes by the leg and pulled him away from the boat. After lunch, just as they were getting ready to head back to shore, this event took place right before it. Tewodros dove into the water after realizing that his son was intent on rescuing him. While he was swimming toward Johannes, he could hear the echoes of his screams playing in his head. As Tewodros was making his way to his son, he noticed that the shark had bit Johannes on the leg. As the family watched, they were filled with horror as they saw the shark pull Johannes under the water. Tewodros drew Johannes closer to him and then used every ounce of his strength to swim back to the boat where they were. Tewodros was aware that he needed to protect his son from the shark, which continued to circle them. When they were almost at the edge of the boat, Adrius offered his assistance in pulling them both onto the boat. Tewodros realized that they needed to take immediate action to address the situation because blood was gushing out of the wound. When they finally made it back to the boat, Tewodros and Adrius wasted no time in beginning to treat Johannes's wounds. Tewodros repelled the shark's attack with all of his strength by kicking it away as it made another attempt to attack. When they discovered the severity of his wounds, they were shocked and horrified. Blood was gushing out of him like water in torrents as the result of the deep wounds and jagged punctures that the shark's teeth had caused all over his right leg. They searched high and low for a first aid kit, but the only items they were able to locate were a few bandages and some antiseptic spray, leaving them with no other options. It was our gruesome side, with blood and bits of flesh splattering all over the boat, as Johannes' father knew he had to take drastic measures to save the life of his son. In an effort to stop Johannes from bleeding out, he grabbed a fishing knife and began cutting away at the torn flesh that he was suffering from. Johannes' dad was aware that in order to save his son's life, he would have to resort to extreme measures. Johannes' screams of agony can be heard throughout the room, and his family is powerless to do anything other than watch in horror as his father attempts to save him. After what seems like an eternity, the bleeding finally slows down, and Johannes' father is able to wrap his wounds in makeshift bandages. However, they are aware that they need to get to the hospital as soon as possible in order to get the help that they need for their son. While Tewodros and Johannes were battling the shark, Adrius was able to call for assistance on the radio, and fortunately, another fishing boat that was nearby responded. They assisted the injured Johannes and his family into their boat, and after that, they sped towards the shore in order to take him to the nearest hospital. The morning after the attack, a group of marine biologists and shark experts went to the hospital where Johannes was being treated and asked to speak with him. They were resolute in their mission to locate the shark that had inflicted such a terrible wound on him by biting him. Johannes' leg was heavily bandaged, and he was still in shock from the experience. But he knew that by assisting the experts in identifying the shark, he could prevent other people from being attacked in the future. Although he was still in shock, he was determined to help others. The forensics team took their time and carefully examined the bite marks that were found on Johannes' leg. They conducted an analysis of the pattern of the teeth marks as well as took measurements. In addition to that, they collected DNA samples from the wound. They were able to piece together all of this evidence and come to the conclusion that the attack was carried out by a great white shark. Following several days of in-depth research and analysis, the investigators arrived at the conclusion that the shark in question was most likely a juvenile great white who had become disoriented and confused as a result of their experiences. The professionals carried on with their investigation in order to get to the bottom of why Johannes had been attacked by the shark. They looked for any indications that the shark had been acting in an unusual manner and examined the area where the attack had taken place. The researchers put in a lot of effort to disseminate their findings to the general public and spread awareness about how important it is to preserve shark populations. It is highly likely that the shark was in search of food when it attacked Mr. Johannes' leg, and it is possible that it mistook it for something more appetizing. The attack happened close to Seal Island, which is well known for the presence of great white sharks in the area. Sharks were drawn to the area because the island was home to a large colony of seals, which in turn attracted the sharks. They urge people to show respect for the ocean and the animals that live in it, as well as to exercise caution when swimming or fishing in areas where sharks are present. There are still a lot of fishermen and tourists who go out into the waters around the island in the hopes of seeing one of these magnificent creatures. During this time, Johannes continued to make progress in his recovery from his wounds with the assistance of his family and the entire community. He was grateful for the efforts of the specialists who had identified the shark, and he hoped that his experience could contribute to the prevention of future attacks and protect humans as well as sharks. he was appreciative of the efforts of the specialists who had identified the shark. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to share and press the bell icon for more regular updates.